Today marks the first in a 5-week series based on the book called Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict. And I think, great, Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict. This is powerful, powerful work. Not only for us as individuals, but for us as we are in relationship with others, and for us as we are in the world. Because the truth is, conflict happens. Conflict happens inside of ourselves most mornings when we try to decide what to wear, and most evenings when we try to decide what we're going to eat for dinner. Should I wear stripes or plaid? Should I wear brown? Should I wear black? Should I have fish? Should I have pasta? Should I have pizza? Should I have burgers? It happens for us when we're in relationship with others. Where should we go on vacation? How should we get there? What movie should we watch? Are we going to Paris or are we going to Panama City? Are we going to fly or are we going to drive? Are we going to watch a chick flick or are we going to watch an action flick? And conflict occurs as we are in the world. What kind of economic system do we want to develop? What kind of resource allocation do we want to promote? What kind of political systems do we want to have? Do we want open trade or do we want to embargo? Do we want to have democracy or do we want to have communism? Conflict is a natural thing. It happens all the time. The wonderful thing about Gary Simmons' book, Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict, is that it just considers each thought that we have and each wonder that we have as a swirling swath of energy. And as we pay attention to these swirling energies, they encounter other swirling energies. And if we all pay enough attention to the swirling energy, we pretty soon have a storm. And our job, our calling, is to find our way to conscious neutrality. To find our way to be that eye of the storm so that we can see it happening all around us and yet be able to respond to it effectively. In Gary's book, he outlines a lot of questions and practices. The practices and questions lead to what he calls awareness, which is awareness, and the practice of centeredness. He asks a lot of questions, and we're going to start off with this one today. Make a list of the funny or not so funny things you have done to avoid conflict. Now, I picked this one because I thought it would be easy. I think I'm a very serious person because all I could think of was hold on and tough it out, or go along to get along, or holding my breath. Man, in my 40s, I found out I could hold my breath for a really long time. But when I went to the internet, it said, oh yes, the funny things, anything to do with humor. A lot of people, when they're uncomfortable, will crack a joke. Yes? They'll crack a joke, they'll make a distraction, they'll start doing shuffle, and then they do the other shuffle, and then pretty soon you're laughing and you forget that you have conflict, which is still actually there. The internet also says that the two most common reactions to conflict are either lying or leaving. So leaving can be just like going under the covers. You're still in the room, but you're not really present. Leaving can actually be removing yourself from the situation, never to be seen again. That happens sometimes in churches. Conflict, oh no, I'm not going back. The other one is lying. People lie all the time. Some people lie about how much money they spent to avoid conflict. Oh, this old thing, I got it on sale. Some people lie about working late. Yeah, I was working late. Yeah, you heard that one before. Okay, some people lie about how much time they spend on the internet, and some people lie about what they're spending their time on the internet doing, and some people lie about how much they've eaten or how much they haven't eaten, how much they've had to drink and how much they haven't had to drink. But I think our reaction to conflict, some of the things that I've said and some of the things that might have popped up in your mind come up on our list because we have a desire to avoid it. We don't want anybody mad at us. We want people to like us. We want everybody to be one happy family. That's some of why we avoid conflict. Even in churches, we avoid conflict because in churches, especially spiritual communities, we don't see conflict as holy, right? We don't see it as holy. But the truth is that conflict, number one, happens, and number two, is healthy. Conflict is a sign that our differences are up and out so they can come together in the light to be healed. What if, instead of calling it conflict, we considered it creative tension? What if we called it creative tension? That state of being where discord, disagreement, and disharmony has come up as the impetus to come together and creatively generate new ideas and better outcomes. It's not a new idea. 2,500 years ago, Socrates said, the Greek philosopher said, that creative tension is actually necessary for evolution. That we require creative tension so that we can look at the myths and the half-truths that we are holding in order to move through them, let them go, and be free to be our creative genius selves, to be free to create, manifest, and demonstrate the life we want to live. Now you would think, if somebody said that 2,500 years ago and it was a really good idea, that it would have caught on. But instead, this is our paradigm. Blame talk, right, wrong, win, lose. I am better than, I am less than. Misperception, miscommunication, ideas of separation and judgment coming together as conflict. In Unity, we want to look at a new paradigm and invite everyone into the new paradigm. Nothing and no one is against me. The universe is here to support me. Total acceptance. There is absolute potential in the realm of infinite possibilities for me. What somebody else thinks about me is none of my business. And creative tension. Creative tension to evolve. Wow. This is like the huge, oh wow. This paradigm, this perspective, this consciousness is what we can move into when we become spiritually aware and have a commitment to spiritual maturity. Because it's not enough to know it. We have to live it. And we have to commit and recommit to live it, to engage in this paradigm, this perspective, this consciousness. There's an ancient story about a family who was looking for a new town, a new city to live in. So they were coming up the road and they approached the city gates, and when they got to the city gates, they saw an old wise man sitting there. And they went to the old wise man and they said, "Oh, most honored one, would you please tell us what sort of people live here?" And the wise man, being the wise man, answered the question with another question. He said, "What sort of people did you have where you've come from?" And they said, "Oh man, they were horrible. They were terrible, they were troublesome, they were as dishonest as the day was long. We are so glad to be rid of them." And the wise man says, "Well, I see. We have that sort here." So that family went, oh, they just walked on down the road. But it wasn't very much longer that another family approached the town. They too were looking for a new place to live, and as they came to the city gates, they saw this wise man, and they asked the wise man, "What sort of people live here?" And the wise man once again replied, he said, "What kind of people did you have where you came from?" And they said, "Oh, they were wonderful people. They were kind, they were honest, They were considerate. They were compassionate. They were so helpful. It was a beautiful place to live. We're so sorry we can't live there anymore. And the wise man says, well, I see. We have that sort of people here. So to me, the moral is we will find what we're looking for. We will find evidence for what we believe. We will find a manifestation of our paradigm, whether it be blame, talk, right, wrong, win, lose, if that's what we're looking for, or we can find the new paradigm where no one and nothing is against us, where the universe conspires for our good and we know it, where we recognize that we are in the sea of infinite possibilities all the time, and what anybody says about us is none of our business. And that we welcome and we cherish and we embrace creative tension. I'm afraid to say bring it on, but we want to bring it on. We want to bring it on because that's how our soul evolves. That's how our genius emerges. That's how we unfold our holy purpose, is through creative tension. What a gift. What a gift. So looking at this first one, nothing and no one is against me. I think there's two someones that we need to consider. And the first one is ourselves. The first one is ourselves. You've heard the adage, I am my own worst enemy, or I am my own worst critic. Well, now that we've said that, and now that we've heard that, we can commit to becoming spiritually aware and spiritually mature so that we can leave that paradigm behind and recognize that we are our own ally. In her book, Mastering Life's Energies, Maria Nemeth has this diagram, and in the center of it is who I really am. The center of us is our Christ, is our divinity, that spiritual pattern for perfection. We are, by our true nature, love. We are, by our true nature, peace. That's the truth of who we are. And then we layer it, and we layer it with personas and personalities that are filled with myths and half-truths. The next layer is who I am afraid I am. Who am I afraid I am? I know that you can answer that for yourself. I mean, what are some of your answers? Who are you afraid that you are? Oh, well, yeah, there's powerful, there's powerless, there's stupid, there's mean, there's insincere, there's all kinds of things or personas or personalities that we're afraid that we really are. And outside of that is who I'm pretending to be. We think we're so sneaky and we think we're so skilled, but have you ever walked into a situation where you were really afraid and you pretended to be brave? The other people could see you. Have you ever been really sad but pretended to be really happy? Yeah, the other people could see you. Have you ever pretended to be really small when in fact you really are powerful? People can tell. People can tell. Maria Nemeth goes on to say, all internal creative tension arises when we react from those outer mindsets rather than remembering the truth of who we are. The truth of who we are is, I am a beloved expression of God. Say that with me, please. I am a beloved expression of God. Nothing and no one is against me. Nothing and no one is against me. The universe and everyone in it is my ally. The universe and everyone in it is my ally, including myself. Including myself. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, the kingdom of God is between us. And if you think about being in relationship with someone else, you can see how the kingdom of God is between us, because the consciousness we carry between us is really how the kingdom of heaven manifests. Would you agree with me that we learn our greatest life lessons from those who we are most intimate with?
Yeah. Most what with?
Intimate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, you could get behind that one. Yeah, we learn our life lessons from the people who we are in intimate relationship with. We learn them from other people, but the ones we learn from those people, man, that's where the kingdom of heaven is. And would you be willing to wonder how that other person is your ally? And how that other person is actually for you, whether it looks like it or not. Gay Hendricks tells the story about a man who comes into his office and the man has just had it. He has just had it. He's complaining about his wife, and he says, "My wife controls everything. My wife controls my social life. She controls our finances. She controls our house. She controls our children. She controls everything. Yada, 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 yada. And I've had it up to here." So Gay, in his very gay way, takes a big expansive breath and he looks the man right in the eye and he says, "Are you willing for your relationship to be different?" Just like that, the guy was like, "Why do you think I'm here?" And he says, "Okay, I invite you to accept your wife's invitation to stand in your own power. I invite you to accept your wife's invitation to stand in your own power. I invite you to see that the creative tension that's coming out between you and your wife's actions is an invitation for you to evolve, an invitation for you to grow, an invitation for you to be the powerful being that you were born to be. So I give you that same invitation." That's a point. If I had enough fingers and toes, I would point at all 137 of you. Or 8, give or take, a few. I invite you to be still, to take that moment, to tune into the paradigm that you want to be in. And know that you are a beloved expression of God, that no one and nothing is against you. That you have allies to your right, to your left, without and within to support you in your full expression. Let's sing our way into meditation with "Be still and know." Be still and know your light, your love, and the creative tension that you bring to the party is divine.